it seems like every single day, every week, every month, we're learning about people of color, you know, being gunned down by police, discriminated against, and this is an ongoing thing that's been going on for centuries. And it's just like, when are we going to say enough is enough? And when are we going to actually do something about it, right? So I'm talking about Korryn Gaines. Um, and I heard about this young woman's death, her murder, last night while I was at the gym working out. And I waited, 24 plus hours to really let it sink in, get information, get facts. So when I do talk about it, I'm not just talking based off of emotion. I'm also talking about what really happened in facts. I'm going to share this link to this article that I'm also getting information from. You can check it out in the description box below. Okay. So, Korryn Gaines, 5 facts you need to know, right? And that's what I'm going to call this video. And I'm also going to discuss my personal opinion on Black Lives Matter and what's going on. Okay. So, a developmentally disabled woman was fatally shot by Baltimore County Police, and her 5-year-old son was wounded in a shootout after a standoff that lasted several hours, authorities say. Korryn Gaines was only 23 years old, of Randallstown, Maryland, was pronounced dead at the scene Monday. Police said in a press release her son was shot in one of his extremities and suffered non-life-threatening injuries. It is not yet known if the boy was shot by officers or by Gaines, according to police. Police said Gaines was armed with a long gun and exchanged fire with officers after several hours of negotiations. Gaines was wanted on failure to appear warrants for an array of traffic charges. Keep in mind, she's developmentally disabled. Okay, so there is some mental issues. Okay, this person is what you would possibly considered special, right? Or older terms that people have used before, mentally retardation, even though that is not inclusive, that is not respectful. But keep that in mind. And then this person, the reason why they came over to her house was because she reportedly hadn't appeared in court. And the reason why she was going to court is based off of some traffic charges stemming from March 2016 traffic stop. It's August, so that's roughly 5 months ago. The charges also included disorderly conduct and resisting arrest. Police were also serving a warrant on a man who lived with Gaines, Kareem Kean Courtney, 39, who they thought was wanted for assaulting Gaines during a previous domestic incident. He was taken into custody after fleeing from the apartment with a 1-year-old boy. He was charged with second-degree assault and released on his own recognizance, police said. The police involved in the shooting have not yet identified publicly, and the investigation in the shooting is active and ongoing, police said. Gaines' 5-year-old son remained hospitalized Tuesday in good condition, police said. He was shot in the arm. Okay. Now, number one, police say an officer opened fire after Gaines said, "If you don't leave, I'm going to kill you." Okay? You can also check this stuff out for yourself. Number two, police asked Facebook to shut her social media pages as she recorded video during the standoff. Number three, she recorded a video during the traffic stop that led to her arrest in March and previously complained about police harassment. Number four, Gaines was exposed to a sea of land as a child, sea of lead as a child and was developmentally disabled as a result. Lead poisoning. Okay? Want to talk about environmental racism, and then me being from Flint, Michigan, dealing with the lead crisis here, right? Number 5, a visual is scheduled for Friday night in Baltimore. Why police continue to investigate. Now I'm gonna leave all this. I'm gonna leave a link to this. There's videos. There's police arrest reports. Her Twitter account, and then her multiple pictures of Korryn Gaines. Okay. Now I'm going to dissect this best way I can. This is what we mean by an ongoing layer of oppression, systems of oppression, and how things are interwoven and how things intersect. She was exposed to lead. Those of you who don't know anything about lead, okay, lead is a neurotoxin. And she was a young child when this lead exposure happened. And those of you who know anything about lead is when lead is exposed, it's a neurotoxin. It can mentally handicap you, as we see with Korryn Gaines. Due to the exposure that she received, she was mentally handicapped. She was developmentally disabled because of lead exposure. Number 2, police clearly, time and time again, do not have the proper training to deal with people who may be mentally unstable or mentally undeveloped. Okay? They do not have the proper training. So they go in guns a-blazing. Okay? Also, happened in Baltimore, Maryland. Anybody know anything about Baltimore, Maryland? Freddie Gray. And what just happened a week ago? All the police officers who were charged with his murder were all acquitted. They all were set free, even though it's clear that Freddie Gray received life-threatening injuries which resulted in his death because his spinal cord was severed. Now, I don't know how you can't see that something clearly took place between him being arrested and going into the paddy wagon or the police van, and during that time span, his spinal cord was severed. Clearly something happened. Clearly there was some physical trauma and abuse there. But somehow, these police were all acquitted. Number 3, while this is going on, she had her 5-year-old son with her. So not only are police not properly trained to deal with people who may be mentally impaired or developmentally disabled or have some type of psychological mental issue, but they don't know how to deal with a person with a child. You're not supposed to open up guns a-blazing and you have a child and then the child is shot in the arm in the process. That's reckless endangerment with the police as well, because you're using excessive force and that's not needed. Okay, number 4. This also brings up back to her reasons for even not failing to appear in court. Once again, if she's developmentally disabled, who's to say that she realized or registered that she had to appear in court? Once again, we got to stop brushing mental issues or people being developmentally disabled under the table and acting like it doesn't happen or doesn't exist. We got to stop acting like these police officers are even properly trained to deal with people. Because all they want to do is see a target, shoot and kill, and ask questions later. Right? That's what's been going on for centuries. This is nothing new. Okay? So she's and then once again, why was she getting arrested? For traffic charges. So this is another situation linking it to the industrial prison complex where we have a vested interest. The prisons have a vested interest in coming up with laws to lock up as many people as they can so they can make money off of their bodies. Because let's face it, People in prison are making all of these various odd, services and items and objects that people love and need. They're getting paid pennies on the hour, like literally it's slave wages. And these private prisons are making all this money, so they're coming up with ways to fine folks, give people tickets, and arrest people for very mediocre and minute things. Like, why are people being arrested? Why are people going to court? And then there's this attack on poverty. It's attack on people that are poor, because once again, it costs to be poor in this country. Because if you don't have the necessary resources and money to pay off the ticket or pay off the fine, because a lot of these court procedures wouldn't even be happening because they give you the option to pay off the fine, but yet if you're poor, you can't afford to pay off the fine or pay the ticket off. Okay? So once again, they're targeting whole populations of people, lower socioeconomic, African American, Hispanic, Latino, people of color. They're targeting entire populations and pretty much making it very possible for them to go to jail, be fined, be arrested, go to court, and end up in jail, eventually prison, or death, right? Or death. And that's what we're seeing. Now, I'm going to go back to the original point. Korryn Gaines was developmentally disabled. And this was due to exposure to lead. Lead is a neurotoxin. This took place when she was a child, which led to her being developmentally disabled. And here I am in the city of Flint, Michigan, that has been dealing with a lead crisis for the past 2.5 years. Okay? Once again, environmental racism. I'm going to put it for what it is. And then also, going into 12 minutes in the video, I have to bring up the double standards. Now, isn't it odd when women are killed, discriminated against, oppressed, there's really not much attention on it. And this is why people created the hashtag say her name. Because oftentimes when women are killed, discriminated against, oppressed, nobody says anything about it. But yet when men are killed, discriminated against, oppressed, there's videos, there's marches, we're working on policies, we're getting agendas, people are getting riled up, there's all kinds of discussion about it, people are pissed, people are angry, and we're doing something about it, and it's vocal. Yet when it's women, people turn a blind eye. The double standards. And I'm going to say it. We got to march for our women and children just as much as we march for our men. We got to march for everybody. We got to get pissed off about anybody that's being done wrong, that's being killed, that's being oppressed, that's being discriminated against. Okay? When I say Black Lives Matter, I'm talking about women, I'm talking about men, I'm talking about boys, I'm talking about girls, I'm talking about transgendered Black folks, people that are mixed, multicultural Black folks. I'm talking about Black people that identify on the LGBTQ plus spectrum. I'm talking about lower socioeconomic status, working class, working poor, middle class. I'm talking about the entire spectrum of Black, the entire spectrum of life, because all of them matter. So we got to stop being hypocrites on that mess. But also, I'm going to say this, a shout out to Mr. Holipsum, because he's been saying this for a while. And there's other people on here who's been saying this. We can make videos all day. We can hashtag all day. We can have dialogues and discussions, but at the end of the day, people are being killed. This is an ongoing crisis, emergency situation where people are being killed by police, rights are being denied, basic human needs are not even being considered, and we're just sitting up hashtagging and making videos. I'm sorry, but after a while, your actions need to speak louder than your words. Now, the Black Lives Matter, ironically, in this whole situation with Korryn Gaines, the Black Lives Matter movement just released a policy agenda a day ago discussing policies that need to be put in place to protect Black lives, people of color, from the police brutality that's ongoing. They literally just put out a policy agenda, you know, yet it's continuing to happen. So this is what I mean by we have to really put forth an effort. We got to do more than get on YouTube, more to make a hashtag, more to share a story or a meme. We actually got to be about it. Okay? Don't get me wrong. Yes, talking about it helps. Yes, sharing memes and sharing information helps. Yes, hashtagging brings awareness. However, we got to do more than that. We can't just let social media be the end of it. Okay? And then, like I said, we have to make sure that we are addressing the issue and that we're actually moving forward to put policy in place, that we're actually doing something about this, because it's clearly an issue and it's been an ongoing issue. And once again, it just keeps showing how there is no respect for Black lives or Black women either. This is an ongoing issue. You know, 23 years old, developmentally, because of lead poisoning that she was exposed to as a child. Okay? And now she's dead, and you got a 5-year-old sitting in the hospital who got shot in the arm by the same police who no longer has a mother. So all kinds of trauma and psychological issues and, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, that little 5-year-old is going to go through. And then, of course, what are we going to say? Oh, he's a child. Children are resilient. We always have these cover-up, Band-Aid approaches to stuff instead of fixing the problem at hand. This video is getting long. I'll leave the link to this article that I'm using in the description box below. But enough is enough. And I've been saying that. I'm tired of saying enough is enough. We actually need to be moving on action. Things have to change. We cannot continue to kumbaya and we shall overcome, because you know what? We've been talking about we shall overcome for 50, 60 years, and then we've been doing this kumbaya and Jesus is going to see us through and all this for hundreds of years. So after a while, doing the same thing over and over is the definition of insanity. So at what point do you realize you're insane? Or what point do you realize, okay, we've been doing this enough. Maybe it's time to switch it up. Maybe it's time to do something different. Rest in peace to Korryn Gaines. My thoughts and condolences and heart goes out to her family and her children and her friends. But at the same time, I got to be doing more than just talking about hearts and thoughts. Because hearts and thoughts is not going to bring her back. It's not going to take back the actions that took place that led to her death and her 5-year-old being shot in the arm. I have to be doing more than just getting on here doing YouTube videos. And so does everybody else that's watching these videos. We need to be held accountable. We need to do something about the situations at hand. And if you're not about solving the problem, then get out the way and stop taking up space from people that's really trying to do work. That's all I have to say.